Good afternoon. Welcome to the Midday Mull for Friday, the 17th of September. Today we read 2 Samuel chapter 13, which is a very human and quite tragic story. David's one son, Amnon, falls desperately in love with his half-sister, Tamar. An advisor gives bad advice, as happens so often, and Amnon asks David to send Tamar to look after him because he's pretending to be ill. Tamar dutifully comes, prepares him food, and Amnon then asks everyone to leave. And when he's alone with Tamar, he grabs her and rapes her. And after that, he then kicks her out, and she goes away devastated, weeping in mourning. And her brother Absalom finds her, gives her, consoles her, and takes her into his own home. And we're told in verse 21 that when King David heard all this, he was furious. He was furious, but he did nothing. He didn't apply justice. He didn't press charges. He did nothing. As a result, 2 years later, Absalom takes revenge. He organizes a feast, invites Amnon, and has some hitmen kill him. And then Absalom has to run away to a foreign country. And the whole situation is a complete mess. The only person that comes out of this story with any kind of integrity and a complete integrity is poor Tamar, caught up in this situation where the people round about her, behaving abominably, let the whole system down and mess it up. And she is the victim in this whole story. And she doesn't end up with justice because David does nothing. And so, as I reflected on that, I thought of two things. The one is that so often we can be doing the right thing. We can behave with absolute integrity. And yet because of the way people round about us behave, we can get caught up in it and suffer. And you see this as you read through Scripture time and time again. You see it most clearly in the cross, where Jesus had done nothing to deserve that. And yet because of the people round about him, he ends up suffering. And so we mustn't believe the lie that people so often bring out, that if you're going through this, you probably deserve it. There must be something in you, something in your background that means this is the right thing to happen to you. No, that sometimes that happens, but so often it doesn't. We're just victims of the sins of other people. So if you are suffering, don't be put off. Don't think you've been abandoned by God. Don't think that God is punishing you. Because there is so much innocent suffering in the world. The first lesson. The second thing I thought is, despite the fact that all these men are so appalling, you have David with all his inadequacies, with all his shortcomings, with all his failures, still ends up being described as a man after God's own heart. He still ends up being in the royal lineage of the Messiah. And to me, that's an encouragement that God doesn't work with perfect people. He works with normal people, people that are full of faults and shortcomings, people that fail and get things wrong, people that are like Absalom, like David, like me. And that is an encouragement. So as you go through life, be, in a sense, consoled and strengthened by the fact that sometimes we are victims. And that's how life is, and we see it time and again. And also that God works with the weak and the broken, people like David, like myself, and possibly like you. And be encouraged.